Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Phenomenal Woman series. I'm your host today, IJ Opogah, and here with me is a very important guest. Um, she is a versatile entrepreneur, author, and brand strategist committed to raising leaders, serving young people, and equipping women. Ooh, I love that. She has trained over 28,000 entrepreneurs. Ooh, and written a bestseller, Show Up. According to her, the world needs what you have, but how you show up influences what they will pay for it. Join me as we welcome Tolu Michaels. Yay! Welcome to the show,
Thank
Tolu
you for
Michaels.
having me.
Okay, so today we're going to be having this conversation because I get to hear a lot of things outside, so I need us to fish it out. Now, can a phenomenal woman be career driven and as well as family oriented?
Absolutely, I believe so. Absolutely.
Awesome. Because there is a story in town that says that either a woman is a boss in her career or fully present at home, and she can be both. So today we're going to call those people out. We're going to call the gist out. Okay. So tell me more about this topic.
Yeah, I really like this topic that you brought up. Love the show. Great job with the show.
Thank you.
And it's important that we discuss this because these are questions women are asking in the privacy of their bedrooms, and some are not even courageous enough to ask it in public because it's like you're supposed to innately know the answer, right?
Right.
But let me just clear the air on that. You can do both. I mean, God made you, and God is not just one thing. So you do not have to be just one thing. You're the product of a dynamic creator. You're allowed to be dynamic, right? And I do have a framework for answering this question that I like to share with women. It's what I've applied at work and at home. It's also something that, my friends have observed we all live by. So I'll be very excited to walk through that framework with you today. I would like to say that the phenomenal woman is a real woman. We're not talking about an idealized woman. We're not talking about somebody else's idea or society's idea or culture's expectation of who a woman should be. We're talking about a real living, breathing, walking woman like you and I, and like you who's watching. So using that acronym REAL, I would say to have it good in your career, being career driven, and also at home being family oriented, you need to be a real woman.
Right.
R for rooted in purpose. A complete woman. Exactly. Woman. Complete in your perspective, complete in how you operate. R stands for rooted in purpose. And as we go on, I would explain more about what I mean for each of those segments. E stands for empowered by systems. A stands for aligned with seasons. And L, liberated from expectations. Very important. And I would be so happy to go over each of those.
Okay, that's a good one. So can we start with the last one, the L, because that is so important. Yeah. So can we start with the last?
I mean, interesting that you want me to start from the last one, but liberated from expectations. Actually, that's a good place to start, because as a woman, people keep telling you all your life, people have told you who you should be, what you should do,
and how you should be.
They're like, oh, ladies don't talk like that. Oh, eat like a lady. I mean, you should be cultured, but the point is, people have tried to set the level for you from the day you were born. They've told you, you can do this, you cannot do that. You can have this, you cannot have that. But the truth is, those expectations were set by people.
Right.
You were not born to live up to other people's expectations. If you live up to them, great, but that was not the purpose for your life, to just live up to other people's expectations. So set aside the expectations people have of you to be just one thing. Set aside the expectations people have of you to succeed a particular way. There's not one way to be a woman.
Right.
Release yourself from unrealistic ideals. Release yourself. Allow yourself to disappoint people.
Right.
Release yourself from unrealistic expectations that people have set for you. Release yourself from the ceiling that other people have placed over you. I often say authenticity is more important than approval. If you approve of me, that's great, but it's not a requirement for my progress. It's more important that I'm authentic, that I'm aligned with who God made me to be, and it's more important that I'm walking in the assignment and the purpose that God has set for me. So release that need to be what other people want you to be. Define success for yourself. And the final thing that I actually want to talk about is people also struggle to change. It's like, I've always been the big sister. I've always been the friend who cooks.
Let go.
No, you're allowed to change.
Yeah.
You can evolve. Give yourself permission to evolve, to change, and to grow.
Let go of perfection. Like, you don't have to always be perfect all the time. Relax.
Perfection is not a requirement.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to check at the door. Are you perfect? Okay, if you're perfect, then you can come in. Perfection is not a requirement for anything.
Because people forget to ask for help, right? They always feel like every other person needs help from them, and so they have to live up to that expectation. No, ask for help when you have to, when you need to, and accept grace, accept help, accept people, accept support when you need to. So
absolutely.
Good one. The R, can we talk about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We have to segue into the R from liberating yourself from expectations, right? Because R is about being rooted in purpose.
Right.
So there has to be that sense of, I do not have to apologize for who I am. Not dimming your light so that you can make other people comfortable, because it is between you and God. It wasn't a conference call when God called you and told you.
I love that part. A conference call.
His plan for your life.
Yeah.
So there has to be that sense of, you know what, I am rooted in who God has planted me here. I will bloom where I am planted.
Right.
Even if I am planted in my home, even if I'm working at home full time, even if I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm not less than someone who is rising in their career. I am rooted in purpose. I understand what success means. Success is being where God will have me be.
Yeah.
Doing what God will have me do at this particular point in time.
And that brings me to what I was having a conversation with someone sometime, and she said, must I work? What if I want to be a housewife? What if my husband wants me to be, and I want to be a full-time mom? And then I said, it is not mandatory that you work, right? It's a choice. You choose to do what you want to do. But the question here, the reason for this conversation is, we have a lot of women out there that want to know if they can do both of them together. We're not canceling the fact that if you want to be a career woman, or a stay-at-home mom, that anything is bad in that.
And there's two things about that. One is chasing success for applause.
Right.
Sometimes people don't even know why they're doing what they do. It just feels like this is what people are clapping for.
Let's just move along.
This is the one that people celebrate and respect. And then there's also operating based on comparison versus conviction.
Right.
I want to grow in my career, and I also want to thrive at home. That is valid. And I often say to people, like, write your top 3 values, for example. These are the top 3 values. And, as women, we tend to default to say family, the 3 most important things to you. And then also your top 3 professional goals. Are they aligned? That's how you know whether you are chasing success for the right reasons, because it doesn't matter.
For the right reasons.
It doesn't matter how high you go if you're climbing the wrong ladder.
Yeah.
Which is another person's own.
True. Because some people have actually, gone into this competitive spirit, and they want to be like their neighbors or their friends, and they're falling back on the other part, right? So you can actually still be a full-time stay-at-home mom if you want to, and still be fulfilling purpose. Some people are at home and studying and doing some courses and developing their brains and making connections and all that. Some people are out there just for the sake of being out there, but they're not making any connection and, lacking a lot.
A woman who you also have a career, you have a family. Something you can do before you go to bed today is to ask yourself, what legacy do I want to leave at work?
Yeah.
And what legacy do I want to leave at home?
Right.
Because what happens is we're trying to do everything at once. Not everything is important at the same time.
Yeah. And also, purpose doesn't actually cancel priorities. It actually clarifies them, right? So you can be thriving at work and also not be a threat to your family, or your work shouldn't be a threat to your family. There should be some sort of balancing, right? We can also be both of them and not just either or, right? And also, I believe so well that you can be a boss in your office and a mom at home. This is really very interesting. And then there's another one, the E. Yeah, what do you have to say about the E?
You actually started talking about it earlier. E is empowered by systems. The phenomenal woman understands that there's no award for struggling. So you're not going to get to the end of your life and get a certificate for
no
highest struggler.
No.
So she builds systems.
Yeah.
Right? You allow yourself to delegate, to outsource, to accept help, to share responsibility.
Accept help. That is one thing that our generation, we're overlooking. We feel that anybody that asks for help is weak. No, you actually build yourself up by asking for help, asking for support, accepting support. Because some people, they actually get the support that they need, but they don't want to appear weak, and then they say, no, I don't need. No, you need to.
Yeah, you're not going to get an award for that. If anything, you might just burn yourself to the ground, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. That's why it's good to ask, what legacy do I want to leave at home? Because your children don't need a perfect mom, they need an alive mom. So don't kill yourself.
Yeah. When you're tired, accept that you're tired, rest.
It's also because there's a lot of conversation about balance.
Yeah.
We talk about work-life balance so much, and it's well-intentioned. I like where it's going. But I think that beyond balancing, we should think about harmonizing. Because there's no world. The idea of balance is 50-50. There is no world in which you carry work 50 and you carry home 50. That's not how it works.
No.
Sometimes it's 100, 180. The math does not math.
Right.
So it's harmonizing both of them. And I once had this analogy of how life as a woman can sometimes be like juggling some balls. Sometimes some balls are in the air, some have fallen to the ground. You quickly catch those ones before the ones up come down.
And keep going.
A wise woman once said to me, how about you even lay down some balls? Because not everything is important at the same time. Sometimes you've taken care of this area, you let it be. You quickly focus more on your work, ramp up that, and then you come back to this other area. If there's anyone around you who doesn't know how to help you, it's your fault. Speak up. Let people know what they can do for you. Let people know how they can help you.
Delegate.
Absolutely.
Modeling, and don't just manage. Your kids are watching. So if you're not doing the right thing, obviously your kids will go through that route, and then you end up raising damaged kids. Kids that think that working alone is what gives them the worth that they need, or staying at home alone is what gives them the worth they need. They wouldn't know how to balance life. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I do think that it's such a great responsibility that God has given us to be examples and models to our children, because at the end of the day, if they can't see us, they can't be us. Not like we want them to be exactly us, but some of the things we've dared to do is because generations of women before us have done them. So when we give ourselves enough grace and we have the courage to step out and do well in both areas, for us, that ceiling is just the floor for our children, and they can do even more.
There is time to nurture, there is time to birth, there is time to build, there is time to rest. Yeah? So I've once talked with a woman that just had a baby, and she didn't want to stay back to nurture the baby, the maternity leave stuff. She didn't want to stay back home. She was more concerned with the promotion that she was going to get, and how that her friends were going to, get promoted, and she's not going to. And I told her, I said, in life, there are seasons for everything. There's a time to relax. There's a time to burn. There's a time to nurture. There's a time to go back to work. Right? So,
and even that maternity leave, it's not just for the child. It's also for you. You birthed a whole human being. There's a wound there that needs to heal, So I really like that you said that, because that's the A. right? Aligned with seasons.
Oh yeah, we've actually talked about it already. That's interesting.
Yeah, a phenomenal woman knows what season she's in and aligns with it. It's, like the children of Issachar, the times and the seasons. You learn to ask yourself, what time is it?
What time is it?
And it's
what
hard. It's really
right
hard. We
Mm-hmm.
don't like being in that season where it's like we're not doing anything. But even in nature, there's winter.
Yeah.
But winter doesn't last forever.
It doesn't.
At some point, spring has to come.
And then you have to take off your winter jacket.
And you have to take off your winter
raincoats.
Yeah.
And then after a while, you take off all of them and put on.
And you go out in the sun.
Yeah. So there is time for everything.
There is.
Well, this is an interesting session, and we would like to have this talk again because I know that there will be so many questions coming up on this. Feel free to send us your questions down in the comment section, and we'll be so glad to answer all your questions.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much once again, Tolu Michaels, and I remain your host, IJ Opogah, for the Phenomenal Woman series.